you have to have a North Star and have a reason. If it was about making money, you just sell it to anybody, you know? But it's not. We're trying to serve and grow and make a difference. You know, our goal on the Run Crew side is to make a difference in these communities.
Welcome to Long Run Labs, a weekly podcast from the team behind For the Long Run, telling the stories of those running the outdoor industry where endurance and entrepreneurship meet. I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this episode, Sketch. I use Sketch every single day. It's how I schedule almost every meeting in my life. Sales calls, podcast recordings, intro chats, follow-ups, all of it. And the thing that really sold me is what happens after something changes. If someone needs to move a meeting, Sketch just handles it. It finds a new time that works for both of us, updates the calendar, and I usually don't even have to think about it. No email chains for me. No, sorry, that time no longer works. No back and forth. If your week involves talking to other people, Sketch gives you hours of your life back every week. It's not just a booking link, though they do have that too. It's a system that protects your time and keeps things moving without friction. I'm partnering with them on Long Run Labs because I genuinely use it and because it feels like infrastructure for modern work. And I want everyone else to use it too, because when you use it, it already knows your availability and we can book a meeting faster. Check out sketch.com/longrunlabs for a very special offer so you can give it a try and add time back to your work week. That's skej.com/longrunlabs. All right, we are live with Sidney Baptista of PYNRS in Boston. Sidney, this is a long time coming, and I'm stoked to chat here with you.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. Definitely a long time coming. I appreciate you, following my journey, seeing what we're doing, and being a friend of the brand, an investor in the brand at a micro level, and just holding me accountable to creating good stuff in this industry. So, thank you.
Well, I'm stoked to dive into it with you. We always ask a really challenging question to start, so we'll go there. Who is Sidney?
Oh, Sidney is an interesting character. I was born to immigrant parents who came to this country after. So my parents were born in the Cape Verde Islands off the west coast of Africa. Then they moved separately, their families, to Angola just to kind of find a better, going to where there was opportunity and prosperity. And then when the war broke out in Angola, they moved back to the islands. Or at least my mom did, and my dad moved here, and they moved here, and they met here. And so I'm the product of two individuals who've come to this country for a better life. And I was the firstborn, so I speak any English. I just was with my grandparents. So I come from that immigrant experience, growing up in Dorchester and being a black kid in Boston gives you that inner city experience. So that's kind of the roots of it. But then my older brother got shot and went to jail, and I got plopped up and went to boarding school. So then that's the other side. I think that really brings kind of who Sidney is today, is seeing two different worlds and merging two different worlds, seeing what's working and seeing how abundance works, and how health and equity and experiences work in one world, and seeing it not work in another, and figuring out why not, and bringing those experiences. I think that kind of speaks to who and what I do.
Do you feel like you're bridging those two worlds?
My goal is to provide the same experiences that I get, when I got the opportunity to leave and go see the world. I want to bring those experiences back to kind of where my foundation was. And I do that. And I think I do that pretty well. I've done that for many years in different ways. And I'm definitely doing that in the running space right now, for sure. And also and able to see other things that maybe this running community isn't seeing, and building, that works for everyone.
We're going to dive into that. I want to set the stage a little bit more about Sid the runner. How did running find you?
Yeah, I was a sprinter in high school. I grew up playing stickball and soccer and football and basketball, all on the concrete, outside, latchkey kids, go to school, come home, play sports on the concrete all day. When I went away to school, boarding school, I ended up running track my junior year. I ended up just running the track team, and broke all the high school records by senior year. 100, 200, 4x1, 4x4, ran pin relays. So just naturally fast, didn't really know how to do it. So that's how my running, I guess, I wouldn't consider my full running journey, because back then that's just like, you think about it as track sprinting and not necessarily distance running, which is what I do now. But fast forward years later, I found myself at a time where, like, we go through 4 years of high school, 4 years of college. You get into this iteration of like every 4 years you're doing something. So 4 years after college, I'm working at PwC, big four accounting firm. I leave there to become an entrepreneur, and I find myself just kind of lost. Like, oh, I don't know, what am I doing? I just quit my job. And now, like, I've hurt both my knees. Both my knees have been operated on. Like, right after I graduated college, I had 2 knee injuries that basically I had 2 separate knee surgeries on both, one on each. So I wasn't playing basketball. I wasn't running. I wasn't doing much. And then I was kind of trying to find myself, and it's kind of a tough time mentally. Then I saw, Jarek Walker. I saw my homie
No.
Jarek. Jarek,
No.
he's like the face of the Speed Project now.
Cool.
He's like the host of the Speed Project. He worked at Heartbreak Hill. He was like Nike running, but he was a friend of mine. I saw him running, and I was like, dude, you're running and you're so happy. You're like, what is going on? So that's how it started. Like, I saw this dude running. I was like, bro, what is this you're doing? And then I started running, and a lot of things started falling in place for me, where I was like having these difficult discussions about, like, with myself about what I was doing in my life, what I wanted to do. And yeah, I just kind of started building this. When you get into running, you build repetition, you build discipline. It helps you do hard things. And that started to translate across my other parts of my life. And then that's kind of how I got into it. And, running's a cult. As soon as I was running marathons. Well, I ran one marathon. Let me say that. I didn't run too many marathons, but I ran one marathon my first year running, or my second year running rather. And then I was just like hooked. And I was like, this has been so good for me. How can I bring this to others?
Why did you quit that big four accounting job?
I wasn't happy. I didn't like the work. A lot of the time I was doing there was trying to figure out how to bring more people of color in. I always had this thing. It was like, it's like survivor's guilt, survivor's remorse. Like, why do I get to be at this dope spot and then just be one of the few? Like, how come we can't just bring more people of color here? Like, more Black people into the firm. So I found myself doing that more than doing my work, and then realized, like, I don't really want to do this. I want to create experiences. So I left there to create a music festival. That was my first kind of swing at it. That didn't work.
The reps help, though. The failures are often more.
Oh yeah, I got a lot
beneficial than the successes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, 100%. I went music festival, medical marijuana delivery company, several e-commerce companies, tech company, 2 tech companies, and then in that mix, I founded a running community, PYNRS Run Crew. But it was still trying to figure out, how do I get in tech? How do I become an entrepreneur? I was an entrepreneur while building the running community, as like, this is so great for me. I need more people to see it. And then I finally landed on PYNRS, the apparel brand, which is what I've been doing for 6 years now.
The lead with community piece, like, if you were to map out like the most effective way to build a brand in 2026, it would be sell something to people who already love you, right? And that's like a crude way to say it, but I'm not suggesting that's the path that you were intending to follow. It's like what happened. Talk to me about the fact that you built community first, and you didn't found the company, you didn't create the company to sell something to these people. You did it because there was a gap in what they needed, and so you were delivering something that was needed to a group of people that already trust you. Talk about that component of it.
Yeah, it's funny because before, in the heyday of e-commerce, you weren't really thinking about community, right? You were thinking about put X dollars into Facebook, gets you X dollars out.
$1 turns into 3.
Right. That was the heyday. And so coming into creating an apparel company, for me, it was never that. I was always building community. So I started with community, just building like a need. I'm tired of leaving my neighborhood to go run. I want to I want to start running here. I want my community to start running. It's helped me with my mental health and kind of like the way I'm living my life. These people need it. Let's do it. And then building that, and then having brands notice us building that, and they wanted to work with us. But then seeing and noticing how what they wanted from us and what we needed from them didn't always translate. So they always wanted our culture, obviously our community show up. go to where they are, do what they want. And then they want to give us free product that sometimes, most of the time, didn't even fit. Like had a partnership
And
with
do you feel that that was transactional too? Like they were looking to check a box even?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. At the time that it was running isn't where it was, what it is now. And the fastest growing segment in running right now is like Black and brown people, right? And it wasn't that then. So we were like still fringe Black led running community, but the culture that we were creating was different. The inclusiveness of the communities we were building. But the cool factor and the different, that part, like these brands always want to center that Black body in their ads, that they want to get this pop culture feel. And so they'll go to a Black person for that. But what I've in my mind, I'm like, you're going to use this to just use this, then just sell product back to us. Like you're using all of this to sell product back to us. You're never paying us. That was part of it. And the other part was the product didn't fit. And I felt like we need to be grateful. Like, just grateful that they're giving us product. You should be grateful. And I just didn't like that. And I also saw that we were creating something special. And I also saw that like once, and I know, Black culture is American culture. Everything, like these
Especially
kids
Boston.
yeah. Like, and then like anything in pop culture starts in starts in like anything becomes like super big, even TikTok dances, everything. It starts with Black creators. It starts with, and I will say it starts with the people who have to be creative because they don't have much, right? Like I feel like creativity, you build creativity out of a need. You're creative because you don't have the resources. So inherently, the people who don't have the resources tend to be Black and brown people in this country. So they create, and that creativity leads to what becomes pop culture. But who then profits from that is typically not that community. And so I saw that. I was like, running is going to be booming. We need to be owning this before it gets there, and we need to be able to position to take advantage of that when that happens. So that ultimately was part of like, all right, this product doesn't fit. There's an opportunity there. This community wants to see running in different ways, new formats, you want to be able to see yourself in running. That's missing. So like, let me start something. And it had just been an apparel company because I don't know. Don't ask me why. I could have been a marketing company. I don't know. Apparel was, I was like, I think this is something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you identify an opportunity, you see a weakness in the existing space, and you're the one that decides to steward it. And what happens next?
Yeah. So to get back to your question about like community and how, we're building community first, what happens next is I go to the community. I'm like, hey, thinking about doing this, let's run a survey. Show me your 6 favorite pieces of clothing and why. Tell me why. Run that, get that data, decide what we're going to build. All right. You told me this is what you love. All right. Now let's do a Kickstarter. Pre-buy this stuff that I'm creating.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Put your money where your mouth is. And it's not like I wasn't putting my money where my mouth was,
sure.
Or I wasn't being the community, or if I wasn't like positioning my community and even positioning the leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Super taking a risk. But even as a community leader, when I was building my community, I was positioning leaders and empowering people to become leaders. And I'm trying to take a step back from being the person all up, as Suge Knight said, the person all up in the video, like how he's, he had a joke about how P. Diddy was always up in the, was the producer always in the mix, trying to like take everyone's shine. And I wasn't that in my running community. So people had a trust for me empowering others. So when it came down time for me to build something, and I was building it, based on feedback I was getting, and now you're buying it based on the feedback you gave. So that's how we kicked it off. And I mean, I owe it to the community for showing up, launching it, supporting it, and then that's how it gets started. It was also perfect timing because it was 2020. And if you remember 2020, everyone loved Black people in 2020. You know what I'm saying? So the phone was ringing and I would just be like, oh, and for me, I was also, there's another thing is where it's like, I understood that it was a moment, and I needed to really capitalize on that moment. And so when I get phone calls, it was like, oh, you want me in your marketing? No, I got 6 other people who can be in your marketing. I want to know where you make your product. I want to know where your shipping company is. I want to know where your designers are. I want to know where you source things. And people were open. They're super supportive. in positioning and helping with that. And I think that was the hardest. And then those relationships led to other relationships that allow us to continue to grow.
So that was 2020. We all remember what happened in 2020 and the injustices and the movement that kicked off and what we saw in the running community and how that's kind of ebbed and flowed since then. It's now 2026. You're still chugging along. What has enabled that initial inertia to carry on beyond that moment as you described it?
Yeah.
Right? It's not February of 2020 anymore. It's
No.
February of 2026.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to that like creativity, like being able to create in need. I mean, I'm a delusional creative hustler who figures out ways to make something out of nothing and like figure out creative ways to get people excited about things. And what I mean is that like when I make the product, the first batch sold, we're still sitting on a lot of product, start doing pop-ups because I'm watching like, oh, this company, like Tracksmith was leading pop-ups. I mean, it was 2020, 2021. There weren't many running apparel companies doing pop-ups outside of the big expos. And so I was like just taking a page out of Tracksmith's book of doing pop-ups and then creating experiences around the pop-ups. And so creating what I knew was that like people come to running marathon weekends and you want to be able to feel at home. Like, so I created a space where like people of color felt at home in whatever city that we need to pop up in. So that was part of it. And then selling product there. So really not even mastering e-commerce. Like our e-commerce was so bad for so long. It was very much an in-person experience pop up. So we didn't raise a lot of money. We didn't raise money to do e-commerce because people were like, your e-commerce business doesn't exist. You know, I was a community guy. So all the while I'm building for this future that's coming, but I didn't know. I just didn't know how to do e-commerce. So I built this space. I knew if you were going to spend $100 on a pair of tights, you were going to be training for something. This thing is going to mean something to you. And so it was like, I was trying to lead with that identity. Come to this marathon. We got this space for you. We're creating a product that's for you. And so that worked for a bit. And then the pop-ups got insane, right? Like all the pop-ups, every brand's popping up, doing this, free that. So then I had to get creative and create events that people would want to come to. So that's when I came up with, or events to drive people to where your product is. And so that's what I came up with. Events
street
like
racing.
Yeah. That's what I came up with. Spin the block, like sitting in this chair here, trying to figure out what's next, and also trying to figure out how to so spin the block, boom, create this event that drives people. It's different. It's like coded for people of community, like pop culture. If you know the nuances around spin the block, but it's in running, and we're introducing new formats. So like you don't have to be running a fast 5K. It's 2 laps on, we do 1K per lap. It's like 2 laps. You tell people it's 2 laps on a track, bro. You can run that. So you can come run this. And so creating that kind of space where people aren't intimidated to come because it's not a 3-mile run. Also creating different ways to win. So you don't have to be the fastest to win. Yeah, we award the fastest team, but we also award the team that comes the best outfit. So the most dripped out team, you being an awardee. If you come with the energy, like the stuff that you do at the cheer zones, if you see how cheer zones have grown, that's come out of Black and brown culture. Now cheer zones, now you think of cheer zone, running cheer zone, but no, that thing didn't exist. So then we take that energy, and if you come in to spin the block, if your team has that energy, you have the most lit energy, you also could win. So there are 3 ways to win. So introduce ways that people aren't intimidated, they feel confidence, and they feel like they can be a part of it and a chance to win. So that was like that next thing that I did.
I love that description. And it reminds me of my first marathon experience where I was at mile 6 of the New York City Marathon in the Bronx. And so when you say like cheer zones and that energy comes from that community, like that's the first thing I think of. That was my first major marathon experience in, I don't know, 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
And
probably in Queens. Mile 6 is in Queens, right? Mile 6 is in Queens. Unless you were all the way at mile 20. Yeah, it's Queens.
No, I wasn't. It was not mile 20. It was mile 6. Yeah. Bronx is the northern. Yeah.
Bronx is coming across. No, I just wanted
or New York geography. Anyway, yeah. So I went to Spin the Block in 25 when you guys did it with Brooks. And I was like, holy shit, this energy is insane. Like I was one of the few white people there, and I was like, this is great. Like,
it was so short. Think about it. Like it's so short. that like, and it's 3 people per team, so that the start finish is like a block party.
Yeah.
So that's the type of stuff we like to bring. It's like creating something different that makes other people feel welcome. The people I'm trying to reach. How do I reach the people I want to reach in the space? So
What
that
is
was
that?
like the next thing of like how to figure out how to drive energy around something.
Yeah. What does that mean to you? I've had a lot of conversations with my friend Vivek, who is has Indian heritage, and he talks about he lives in San Francisco, and he talks about how like there are tons of Indian people in the Bay Area, but they're not in the trail running community. He wants to bring them into the trail running community. He started a Chime Miles Run Club so that people that look like him can participate and feel welcome. And so we've had many conversations about what that means to him. What does that mean to you? What does it feel like to belong or to see a group like that on Newbury Street and feel like you belong there?
Yeah. I mean, it's what comes from like when people who get into running and they're like, yo, thank you for creating, like, I didn't see myself as a runner. Now I'm finding my people, right? And they're feeling thankful and they're feeling grateful and they're making new friends and like their lives are changing in different ways because of this running thing. That's what really is like, wow, this is dope. You know, like that, I know I'm making a difference in someone's life. That's even just the running side, right? Now, to be an apparel company that's on Newbury Street in Boston, Newbury Street's like the most like, you know, it's like Fifth Ave. If you don't know Boston, it's like Fifth Ave, New York, and Fifth Ave, New York. It's a prestigious street where like we typically in the segregated city like Boston, like we come down here as a group to like walk around, but like we're not typically all down here that often, right? Especially as kids or young, you know, maybe when you get a little older. But it means a lot to be able to create a company that then has space on Newbury Street, and then you're creating for people to come to this thing on Newbury Street where they're not necessarily always feel welcome to. And then also when people come from out of town and they're like, oh, there are Black people in Boston and there's good experiences that I can have on Newbury Street. That just, I mean, that's just, you know, it shows others that it could be possible. And that's important. It's like when I saw Jarek running, I was like, oh, that's possible. And so like when someone sees me do a pop-up, that's possible. Big apparel, that's possible. So I mean, that's why I do it, you know?
So the point of marketing, people buy a better version of themselves, right? So when they see what you're doing, they see themselves, they see a potentially better version of themselves in these pop-ups and in these group runs and in the, 26 Point True, like the things that they want to see, they're seeing. How do you leverage that as a business to drive the business forward, right? The business is not a charity, and you benefit a lot from doing things that are good for the community on the company side of it. So like you have this 1 + 1 = 3 situation going where you can do right by the community, you can do right by the business, and you can do right by the customer, for the customer as well. How do you execute that? How are you doing that?
Yeah, I keep the two things separately. Pioneers Run Crew, free, volunteer-led community. Truly, no one gets paid. And we create for those people. So I don't let what we do there, be about how we're profiting from the people we're serving.
Do you think that's a reason that it's been so successful? Because there is intentionality around that?
Pioneers Run Crew for 100%, 1,000%. 1,000% the reason why. We create and we stand on our own. We don't, if it doesn't make sense for our community. And then when I say our community, we've also had to have internal discussions about what our community looks like and who we're actually serving. There's a lot of, after 2020, we had a lot of allies come in. And as that happens, it's like gentrification. Things start to change for who is there, right? And so people feel like, oh, maybe that's not for me anymore. I had like people tell my brother, like, oh, Pioneers Run Crew, yeah, like I don't go there. There's not many Black people. We've gotten to a point where that happened, right? And that's my brother who lives in Dorchester. Like, so stuff like that comes out, and we have to have internal discussions. Like, listen, we understand that we shifted a bit as to how many people were coming in droves, but we have to figure out a way to get back to the people that we are intentionally serving, because the people who we've shifted a little bit to, they can be comfortable going to Boylston Street and run. The people we need to reach don't feel comfortable doing it. They don't have that comfort level yet. And so we need to focus. And so there's a lot of internal battle amongst this group of volunteers who may identify in both ways, right? Pioneers Run Crew has leaders who have moved to Boston. They have leaders who've been from Boston. There are people who are biracial, people who are comfortable in different spaces. Like the team, we have 20 leaders, right? And this thing has been going for about 10 years. So there's internal conflict because like you feel like I'm putting my all into this thing and I want to put on for the people that I love. When it's like, but you're choosing to put your all into this thing, you have to remember what the thing is meant to do, right? And so like the internal struggle of like making sure we are serving what we are. So then that's something that we really have our internal kind of like discussions about, and we shift it back to where it needs to go, right? And so that intentionality is important and what keeps us, grounded and not really trying to shift, as we grow.
I want to double down on that and really understand more how you create that intentionality. Tracksmith is a good example. Whether you like them or not, if you're for everyone, you're for no one in some way. And Tracksmith has a very like. I moved to Colorado and I can't wear Tracksmith anymore because my thighs are too muscular, right? Like I see myself in a way in their marketing, but I'm 20 pounds heavier than every runner in their pages, and they've gone all the way. Hey, we're for everyone, but your sizes aren't, your imagery isn't. They've gone on the trail side. Their trail products are good, but the positioning of the trail launch was odd. But I'm like, as a brand like that, like why not just double down on like we're for fast, skinny white people, and if that's not you, there are other brands, right? And so you're on the other end of that spectrum, saying we built something for somebody entirely different, and you're still getting the allies that want to come and support you. And to your point, like if you get too many allies, then it skews what the group looks like, right? So like, how do you balance those things?
Yeah, no, it's definitely hard, and I do agree that like maybe look. So I admire Tracksmith for what they do, which is stick to who they serve. They went a little.
They used to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know if they.
I don't know. I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't see as much Tracksmith as I used to, and I think it's because it's been saturated. And obviously, I'm super busy. I used to follow them, like, what are they doing?
Well, it's
because they were like
fascinating brand for the last 10 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to, like you said, you have to stand for something, or you'll stand for no one. And
stand for nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, like stand for nothing. It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable because you build community. You love these people. They become your friends, but you have to have a North Star and have a reason. If it was about making money, if it was about making money, you just sell it to anybody, you know. But it's not. We're trying to serve and grow and make a difference. Our goal on the Run Crew side is to make a difference in these communities. Normalize running over here. We look at the two zip codes, half a mile apart, and the life expectancy, it's like 20 years, 20, 30 years difference, right? Maybe 20, 25 years difference. It's like we care about that so deeply that it keeps us rooted. And if we're not meeting that, then we have to have a conversation about it. Now, let's take it to the other side, the business side. I am on purpose removing Black owned from everything, not because I'm not making it and centering Black and brown people.
Show not tell?
It's a show not tell. It's because when you tell too much, then people, like I had someone email me, they found my shoe on bricks.com and they're like, I love the shoe. I love what you're doing. I'm a white guy from, I don't know, somewhere. Is it okay if I buy this and wear this? I'm just like, gosh, like seriously, dude?
Sir, do you have a credit card?
And so I know my intention is to build, I know my intention is to center the experiences of people of color in everything we do. Product development, product marketing, storytelling, how we show up, how, what we do. In 2020, you led with that and you won. This now, you're lead with that. People are like, oh, maybe that's not for me. So how do I just remove the front end and not care about that and just make sure that we get in everybody's money? Because we know what we're going to do. No, I think it's hard for people to realize and think that I'm like, oh, why would you, people are like, oh, why would you do that? And it's well-meaning people who want to keep fighting the good fight. And I'm like, you have to understand, I'm not going to change what I'm doing on the back end.
Not the scoreboard.
Thank you. Exactly. I'm playing the game. If y'all don't, I won't say that. We'll keep doing what we do. It's not like not all these other brands aren't putting Black people all over their pictures and, come on, they're doing that anyway, You go to any Google, go on any running brand right now, you'll see black faces on their marketing, So I'm not leading with black owned. I'm removing that. And you won't find it on my website anymore. And I won't be talking about it anymore. I'm just going to do what we do. And we know what we're going to invest our money. We know what we're going to build for. And we know that when you build for people on the margins, everyone's included. It makes everyone feel more included. When you really focus on the people that need it, you're inclusive to everyone. So like, that's what we focus on doing. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And so like, that's the separate ways. Whereas Pioneers Run Crew, this is a black-led space for black people. You're welcome if you want to be here, but this is what it is. Pioneers Apparel, we don't say that no more. Everybody's welcome. Come buy these shorts. They might fit you. You got to size that a little bit. If you're Jonathan, you might fit them right away, So
as long as your vert is more than 2,000 feet a week, you're good.
Right.
Before we started recording, you said you wanted to validate the product in the market and show that it's not just for black people. What does that mean to you going further, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not just doing it for the marketing, for the whatnot. You're really focused on the innovation of
Correct.
the product and building a company with a serious product, not just apparel.
Exactly. And I think that's been number one from the beginning. From the beginning, I actually never did lifestyle product for the first 3 years of the company, maybe 4 years. For the first 3 years of the company, I didn't do any lifestyle because I remember being on my first pop-up in Boston Marathon, having a space, having my product out, people walking in, and someone said to me, "Oh, you make running apparel?" Someone said this is just streetwear. Like someone at that pop-up over there said it's a streetwear. I'm like, oh, because it's black owned, it's streetwear. Like you don't, like people don't expect you to have good stuff. They just think that you don't make performance stuff. And you could see this if you look at like what Jerry Lorenzo talks about trying to break into high fashion, or what Virgil Abloh has talked about. Like they were seen as not high fashion people. Oh, they're just streetwear. Like that's how you get discredited. So I didn't want to make anything to have people discredit what we're doing. So we have to build a really good product. I finally layered in some non-performance stuff, lifestyle, because people actually want to buy lifestyle stuff. So now we do that as a part of the business. But to go back to like kind of like building product, the root of it is that most running apparel companies use the same fit profile to fit product. Lean, tall, skinny, fast, aspirational. Most runners, most marathoners are not that. So they're having a fit problem. They don't even know they have a fit problem. What we do is we start with, I talk about it a little different sometimes here and there. Like what we start with a black body, or what do you want to say? We start with an average runner body. Like, it's not, like an average middle of the road runner that's running a marathon tends to be not that small and skinny, not, you know what I mean? So like we start with an athletic body. We start with, with a black body, obviously, but an athletic body. And that actually speaks to the market. But we are intentionally making that our fit person. And so it's different than what other people are doing from a fit perspective. And then from like a product perspective, we just introduced a men's shrug. That's innovative because one of the things was we see runners put on that sweatshirt for the first couple miles, then take it off and throw it away. What if we gave you sleeves that are like, a shrug that's kind of fashionable, kind of different, and you can tie it around your waist so you could take it off, or it just kind of like sits there, right? And then that's introducing something that's like usable, fashionable, innovative, different, So we're leading in that category. Like, or we do, we look at that space. And then like on the other side, we made a woman's shrug that was actually a hooded shrug. And the hood is so big because it's made to fit many, many hairstyles, and it's comfortable. And it also like, and it also kind of pays homage to what FloJo did, her style on the track. So we're like bringing styles of iconic sprinters like Michael Johnson and FloJo, bringing it into distance running. But it makes sense. It's not just to do it. It's like it makes sense and the product works and it's great. And, you've worked so hard to get to the race day. Like, why not look your best? Why not flex on everybody? Why not look different? So yeah, that's how I think about it. So we have to make really good performance product for people to take us serious. And now it's like, hey, we make really good performance product. Come try us, as part of the battle.
Quick heads up. If you want to support the show, we've got paid subscriptions at $8 a month or $96 for the year. If you go annual, you'll get a For the Long Run hat while they last, plus some goodies from our partners. It helps us invest in higher quality production and rely less on ads so we can keep the show focused on the conversations you care about. Check it out at forthelong.run/subscribe, and thanks for listening. I want to talk more about you as a founder and the kind of tenacity you have. You described it as a delusional hustler. The way you're describing all of these different nuances of how you do or don't want to position the brand just so that somebody would even consider it. You're starting from with your hands tied behind your back. And there are 10 hurdles you have to overcome before you even get somebody to make a couple of clicks on the website. Some people can look at that and be like, oh, woe is me. You've looked at that as get the fuck out of my way unless you're, going to be with me kind of a thing. Where does that come from? And why have you been able to take all of these challenges and turn them into advantages?
If I wasn't, I wouldn't be here. Like if I was a woe is me, you wouldn't be having this conversation. So you wouldn't even know, because that's most people, and I'm not even saying that in a derogatory way. I'm just saying that it's really, really hard. Right? Like, why do we have to do this? Like, why can't it just, be simple? But if it was simple, everyone would do it. So like when I said my parents came from another country, but like when they, my grandfather he made shoes and sold shoes. Then when my uncles came, they started sportswear stores. And so I grew up selling product at the flea market, 3 for 10 t-shirts, 3 t-shirts for $10. Go sell them, Sid. Luggage, to the point where I was taking the Peter Pan in college to buy clothes on Broadway Street in New York City and selling it out of my dorm room because I had, this is where the hustle comes from. It's like I can move, like what Jay-Z says, like I could sell water to a well. Like I'm gonna figure it out, and it's in my blood and it's in my nature. It's in my, like I got an accounting degree because my parents are like, you don't want to be doing this retail, mom and pop store stuff. Go, do something that gets a corporate job, and but like that's not me. I grew up selling sneakers, and and I forgot about this story about selling sneakers and t-shirts. Like one of my friends came to buy a t-shirt from me. He's like, just like in college. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you had a business in your dorm room called Kicks and Tees. You sold me long, remember when, I don't know, in college we wore really double XL t-shirts. White tees was a big thing. There was even a song about it. And I was like, oh, damn, I forgot about that. But it's just like in my nature to figure out a way to, I guess, I call it create experiences, So it's in my blood. It comes from there. But then my love and my want to make a change is even deeper, like I want us to own. When I say us, I want Black and brown people to own and be able to own something and be able to have a say in how you live your life, and you're not asking for permission, you're creating for your people, because there are a lot of people out there who are in your position who you could speak to, and so those are the people you go find, right? And so I don't like asking for things, I want to do. And part of the reason why I have probably struggled in raising money is because I don't like going through the process and then people finding like, oh, why are you doing all these extra things? Like, why, like I'm like right now I'm trying to raise money and my buddy's like, oh man, just the one piece of clothing that sells really well, focus on that. Why are you talking about spin the block and this and that? I'm like, dude, I have had to do that and this and that to sell a pair of shorts. The selling the pair of shorts didn't work. I had to go figure out other ways to bring money in, right? Like if it's not working over here, how do you? So this becomes multiple ways of making money because I got to figure it out. And so it's in my blood. It's in my nature, and I have the want to do better for the for the Black and brown community because that's where I live. I still reside. It's who I am. I don't know. But you have to believe that you can do it, or you're not going to do it.
The fundraising piece is interesting when you're in the pre-seed or seed stage and you're looking at angel investors versus venture capital. It's a move to bet on the founder versus looking in the shorts of the founder, and by that I mean the financials. You were my first. It was a small angel investment, but it was the first one I ever did.
Awesome.
And I didn't know you super well. I just kind of knew your story and the either join me or get out of my way kind of a vibe.
Yeah, we were going. we were
Yeah.
going,
And do
right?
you
Like,
want to be with us
join me.
or not? Trains
Exactly.
left the station. And the
Yeah.
second angel investment I made was a friend he's a CEO of a company, and like he's the type of person, if he said, follow me into this burning room, I would do it without question
Yeah.
because Phil said so. And that's
Yeah.
just, that must be the right way to go. And so
Right.
to me, that's how angel investing works. It's not, what's the business opportunity? Yeah, that's important. But it's like, will this person figure it out, and will they exhaust all resources
Yeah.
and all options to make good by the people around them? Talk to me more about the fundraise, your experience in fundraising and what you've been learning along the way.
Well, before I started this company, the multiple companies I said before, I tried just raising the money first, right? Ideas. Because like in that time, if you think about between 2012 and 18, 19, people raising money, they come with an idea and they raise money. I was like, that was my goal. I was like, come up with an idea, raise money. But I wasn't the people who were, yeah, pre-revenue. It doesn't
That
matter
means
if
no
you lose
sales.
money. It's exactly, yeah. Right. It's crazy. It's insane. It's wild. But like the people who were raising money, the people that were at the funds, it's like they could see something in each other, right? Like here's this guy who runs a fund. There's another kid that comes in. He could see themselves in that kid. I wasn't reaching many funds where there were people of color who were like, I could see myself in this kid, you know? So there's a general, like, I mean, we're people. It's a thing that we do. It's like we connect with people who are similar, right? It's an identity thing. And so when I realized that, like, oh, like I'm not really finding, and then when you did find maybe the black investor, you have to be like the best. You have to be amazing. You have to have revenue. You have to have this. You have to have this and that. And so I was like, you know what? When I got to this company, I was like, I'm just going to build it on community. So my first was a Kickstarter, the first couple of dollars I got. And then it was still 2020. So then I had some angels who really wanted to build black businesses, angels who were like, we've done the nonprofit thing, but we want to like invest in a company that's going to build wealth and jobs because we think that's the way. We think philanthropy is one way, but we think business is another. So I had a couple angels who were there, who wrote big checks. And people who invest, they typically invest in their sector. I caught a couple people who weren't investing in their sector and they invested in me and what I was doing. But that's no longer the case. Like they're like back to investing in their sector. But that was, that was a time
Back
thing.
to
It was
real
great.
estate.
And they were, yeah, exactly. And that was great. And I'm grateful for the people who believed in me then. And then then I got into the REI program, which was a small check, which is a great check. So now we sell product to REI. We can't even grow into REI until we like get more money to build the wholesale side of things, to then feed that beast. That's a whole different thing. And then like I've gotten money every way you could think, like grants. I won competitions, like pitch competitions, like like every way possible, while also still trying to pitch to venture. After we get some money, after we've gotten some revenue. But a lot of the time, I'm just like, I'm just going to
Do you
figure it
want
out.
to
And
go
so
to
then,
venture capital?
so let me get to that. So where you came into the picture was I went back to community. I said, hey, we're raising from the community because we want to give you ownership. Like if this thing goes, it was, we did a crowdfund, like an equity crowdfund. Now we're at the point where like we're thinking about, we're like looking at going venture, but not necessarily saying we're going to do it. It's like, it's maybe just to sharpen my pitch. So then when I get the right angel, then it's not Sid's all over the place.
Well, we should connect
Sid is
offline.
dialed.
Yeah, we should connect
Okay.
offline because I have two VCs that I think would be
Okay.
an interesting
All right.
discussion.
Yeah. So my buddy who is a genius and he raised $2 million from Andrew Horowitz with a tech platform. He's like putting me through the ringer of like how to raise money. You stack your meeting, like that process, which I'm not very familiar with. So he's doing that. So now we're flirting with it. And I think it's going to sharpen my pitch and then we'll decide. I don't want to go to somewhere where they just want to blow this thing up and make as much money right away. I'm still very passionate and maybe investors don't want to hear that either. They don't want to hear that you want to make a difference. So, venture. So like I said, I'm talking to them. We'll see.
The challenge with venture is the whole math of venture is you need one or two home runs and everything else is a dud. And so the home runs have to be grand slams with two people on each base. And that balances out all the other companies that go to zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. Whereas my 2 cents is that the angel community, the right angels, will see Sid the hustler, and they'll bet on Sid, and they'll say Sid will
Yeah.
figure it out, and this is a great opportunity, versus venture, which is we're going to squeeze Sid's balls as hard as we can. Which there's a place for that, right? There's a reason it exists, but it
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, it changes the dynamic of the business and of the relationship. But there are some out there that are doing a great job, and there are many that aren't. But it's an ecosystem that exists, and it works for some, and it doesn't work for others.
Yeah, agreed. And I think there's some out there that we can find. I'm also thinking family offices. There's definitely more angels, but I think going through this process is going to inevitably make me a stronger pitcher, a stronger fundraiser. So I'm going through the process. And I do need to cut some of the fluff and just focus on the core business, which is actually doing well. I just looked at our numbers and we were nearly profitable last year, which is crazy to me. I didn't think if we didn't have credit card interest, we would be profitable, which is, so which is cool,
What's your 30-second elevator pitch? Why does PYNRS exist?
The fastest growing segment in running is Black and brown people, and they're massively underserved. Their buying power is $28 billion a year in running, and that no one knows how to speak to that community. And we make product that actually fits, that makes them feel like they're part of this. And it's a huge opportunity to be a part of. Like, no one's seeing it and no one's doing it the right way. And I know because Brooks is hiring me to drive that people into there, right? Like, Jaylen Brown is supportive and wanting to kind of like tap into what we're doing. We partner with like Grammy nominated or, like platinum selling artist Nori. We have the cultural movement on the ground. That's kind of where I'm going with it. Before I would have been like, we need this. I don't know. We're still working on the pitch, but that's the truth though, when it comes to the data.
It makes sense. I asked that because I know there are a lot of investors that listen, or not a lot. There are a handful of investors that listen to this, and I wanted you to dazzle them before you were talking to them.
Yes, don't worry. The pitch will be strong by the end of the next 6 weeks. I'll elevator pitch.
Yeah, you learn a lot from this feedback loop, right? You get a lot of no's, and you can ask why not. And that's helpful and from anyone who will answer that. I want to talk more about the Brooks dynamic. How did that come about? How are you looking at that from a partnership standpoint? I see you at a lot of major marathons, and I see Brooks right alongside, and that must be really cool and humbling, and also a huge opportunity. How did you get to that place?
Well, I was at the running event in 2023, and I was pitching every running brand that I saw. I was like, yo, my brand is ready to do a shoe deal. Like, we want to do a collab. And I met Mike Peck at the Brooks party. I think I was standing.
Things come from
all
the Brooks
good
party.
Things comes from the grip. It's proximity. I was there with Des, so I was hanging with Des. Des is a big supporter of PYNRS. She's obviously she at the time still running, still not retired. Is Des retired from running marathons?
This show, so say hi to Des.
I love Des. Des is my dog. Des was she's obviously a phenomenal athlete who is probably still Brooks's leading athlete. So I'm hanging out at the Brooks party with the person you need to know, and Mike was there. And Mike was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm Sidney. We should do a shoe deal." And I showed him everything. And at the time, Dave Hash, photographer out of New York City, he shot all my spring campaign for fall 2023 campaign. Beautiful photography. And Mike was like, "Let's talk. We're going through this revamp. We're going from run happy to let's run there. We're getting a little edgier. We are looking to do this." So that's how it started. It was 3 a.m. I sent an email. It was there was a misspell in it. So that's how it started. Mike sent an email to Stevie Jones, who at the time was running partnerships. And so we had that conversation, and they gave me a chance. And that's how that started. And for Brooks and other companies, because other companies are working with smaller brands, they're trying to niche down and reach community at a niche level. Brooks in particular, known as the dad, is the old person shoe. Everyone hates all the people at other brands. Oh, that's for the old people. I'm like, all right, cool, but they make really great shoes. They're the number one selling running shoe in run specialty for years and years. They're, they're well-run company. They're owned by Berkshire Hathaway, and they're looking to expand who they reach. And I'm helping speak to that audience. And so Brooks, it's a natural partnership, and they are good people. Like when in 2023, we got surrounded by the police, the Pioneers Run crew, and the Trailblazers in Newton for cheering too loud, for bringing this culture into Newton. And Brooks was the only major brand to come out and say something publicly. And so, like, I know they're good people, well-run business, good product. They have a need. I have a need. And so that's how it started. And it's going really well. They're just really supportive of what I'm doing. And I actually really love the product that they're putting out. My shoe, when I saw the shoe, and I was super honest with them, I was like, Run Happy is really not mine. Or like, we're going to Let's Run there. I was like, oh, it's perfect timing. Then when they put out that Hyperion Max 3, remember when the Glycerin Max and the Hyperion Max 3 came out? You look at that and you look before that and after that, what Brooks has done. My collab was a Hyperion Max 3. So like I was just on the cusp of like when they were going there. And so it was like the perfect alignment for me. And yeah, the people have been great. And the shoe did well. We sold in, sold out, sold through, hit all the marks. They allowed me to take creative control on the commercial. We shot a commercial, like speaks to a whole different audience. Like when I think about what I'm doing in running and where the rest of the running industry is, it's completely different. Like, so, and I think, and then speak to the character on the teams there, the character of the people on the teams there, when they take it to their team, they're like, this is what we're doing. They're like, you sure? Like this angle, this is a running commercial that you're shooting? And they're like, yes, we trust it. We believe in it. Like you think it's a weird doll. There's a meaning there. You think that woman is rubbing her, cleaning her daughter's face. There's a meaning there. All that stuff that's in that commercial means something to the communities we serve. And they allow me to cook, and we do it, and it's been going well.
What does that unlock for you?
I mean, for us, it unlocks new markets. Even though if those people come and say, "Hey, can I buy this product? Is it okay if I buy it?" No, it introduces the brand to others. It validates the brand in running. It validates what we're doing is important, right? Because $1 billion brand like Brooks, who's a serious running brand, people see it and they're like, oh, like, people from that side see it. And then people on our side who like what happens in communities of lower income, there's a crabs in a barrel mentality. Sidney is a run crew leader. Yeah, he's got this brand, but I got a run crew too. Why should I be supporting that? Oh, look at what he's doing with Brooks. He's at Paris Fashion Week. He's on Newbury Street. Oh, maybe I can support it. Maybe it's not competition with me. So like working with a Brooks allows for people to see that and jump on the bandwagon versus always trying to compete with me and think that like, oh, I can do what he's doing. Because it's really hard. We're still the only Black-owned running apparel, like true performance running apparel. There's a reason why. It's because it's really hard to do. I came at the right time. I'm kind of wild and delusional and take a lot of risks. And it's really hard to do. But so I see it working both ways, right? And then obviously the cash is good. The cash is always great. For a business like ours, it's like a part of the business plan. It's a part of the business model. You see what Kith does? Kith does collabs with so many brands at different levels, and it allows for them to pay for their marketing of their core product. And so we look at it like that, The
other piece is that it greatly reduces the customer acquisition cost because you're letting another big brand leverage growth and discovery. We talked about this with Ross Mackay of Cadence and what he's done with Bandit and the collab with Bandit, or even just the partnership. And Bandit gives great access to Cadence, and there's no competition. One's apparel, one is beverage and sports nutrition. And so we're starting to see a lot more of this, particularly in a time when like everything is more expensive, especially customer acquisition costs. And there are so many more companies out there doing it. You recently started working with Outside PR as your PR company. I got a text from my friend Gordon over there a few weeks ago. Hey, would you chat with
my man G?
Would you chat with Sid? I was like, hell yeah, I'll chat with him. What is your desire? What is the intent in engaging with a PR firm? What is that kind of a thing unlock? Because not everyone's doing that.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is, so I was selected as part of their program, which I forget what it's called. I think it's a program that's helping smaller companies. Maybe it's underserved, underserved community companies, with pro bono PR. And so I wouldn't necessarily be outreaching for a PR firm because I've done that in the past, and it's really hard to quantify PR and spend dollars when when you're small, right? But I mean, working with outside PR has been like, wow, game changer in the sense that they get a lot of people coming through asking about pioneers, or they're reaching out to the right people. But when I came in, I was like, listen, you are in the outdoor industry. You probably have the contacts in run specialty. All I want you to do is validate my product in this run space. Like that is the goal. Get writers, get people product. Jonathan, if we haven't sent you any, we got to send you some product. But get
My
product
thighs,
out to
thank you.
people. Yeah, exactly. Don't even size down. No, but like validate, utilize your network to validate our product, to get it out, get people talking about it, because they're going to be the running nerds, or they're going to be people who want to discredit it, and they may not know they're doing it because it's black owned, or that they don't see themselves in it. It's just that generally speaking, I mean, we are the only black owned running apparel company. It's not normal, and it's different, and so and it's been great working with them. Like
Yeah,
G
their team is
Gordon is
incredible.
Yeah, like Gordon Spencer, Amy, a bunch of other people. I'm gonna not say everyone's name, but they come on the call. It's 4 or 5 people. Here's the things we're working on. Here are the things, and I'm like, this is great. Like this is a team, And being I'm the only full-time employee at this company still, Jonathan. I flex up when we get deals. Like a Brooks comes through, we bring on a team to help execute, and then when we're back to just selling product, it's back down to me trying to figure it out. So it's good to have them as an extension trying to help.
Another way to describe what you're talking about is trust, right? Trust is the main vehicle of action. And the role of PR used to be get a bunch of placements, get people to write about things. And like now Runner's World has co-opted the gift guide into an affiliate program. And everything we see on these programs that used to be like proper journalism is now just a big affiliate program.
Agree with you.
So trust becomes the sacred metric, not really a metric, but the piece that's most important. So
yep.
Trust is foundational to how and why you're building the company. So leveraging a group like Outside PR helps to enhance that. And as you said, validating product and market and showing that it's performance wear. One of the ways you're doing that is with innovation. We talked before we started recording about the focus on innovation, the innovation awards that you're winning, and how it's being recognized or not being recognized. Talk to me more about the innovation and your space in the industry.
Yeah. So I recently was awarded Innovation Leader of the Year from the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, which is this huge council that oversees, or that looks at and works with all these businesses and through like a bunch of sectors, right? There's only one innovation leader. And so if you think about like all the different business sectors that there are in the state of Massachusetts, for them to select me and what I'm doing in this run space as like innovative, and then for like the people in the running industry, not everyone, I will say not everyone, but generally speaking, the large swath of the industry that just does not acknowledge anything I'm doing, period, is fascinating to me. Because we're in your running, but then is it fascinating because I created it because it didn't exist? And when 90% of owners in running are white, and like 85% of I'm thinking of the RIDC report. I can't remember exactly what the details are, but 80 to 90% white owned, 80 to 90% C-suite, and then why do I expect them to notice if if it doesn't even cross their mind, like of the things that I'm doing, why we would do it, So it's interesting.
Does it matter?
Sometimes for me, when it matters, obviously we're still all human. When it matters is when you see the same nonsense being reported through these accounts, and it's look at what this company's doing. Look, and it's like all the same. Oh, they changed the camera angle. What? Like Bandit has been doing some cool product innovation, like the bra, even their glove the glove with the, they're doing product innovation. Like, I like Bandit because they actually open the market for a lot of us. But like, oh my God, like And maybe these journals are made for the same people, like Temple Journal. Maybe it's made for one set of people, and they keep, runners alert. All these, all these aggregator companies, accounts. But then I can't, then on the other side, who's written about me? We got the people who actually matter. Lee, Running Sucks, Razik, Colin, Townsend? Is it
Cole?
Cole? Sorry. Ooh, Cole Townsend. Cole's my dog. Sorry, Cole. Like these are the people who actually people listen to, so they write about it. But then they come back to me and they say like, "Oh, I'm a little discouraged that no one picked it up from when I wrote it." That's what Lee tells me. That's what Cole tells me. So
Funny, we get back to my podcast with my friend Vivek. He works at NVIDIA. And so Jensen Huang is his CEO.
wow.
And he says, Jensen says, play the game, not the scoreboard. And so again, easy to say, hard to do when you feel a sense of pride and you're like, well, what the hell? Why is this not being shared? But I feel like at some point you're gonna create enough momentum that it's gonna be hard to ignore.
No, for 100%, 1,000%. And I'm not coming at it the like what was me side of things. It's actually more of poking fun, and taking an opportunity to drive more eyes on what we're doing. So I did this a lot with Tracksmith in the early days when they would mess up, and I would just jump on it, with their singlet, I know. I stopped because I had other things to do.
I gotta stop trashing Tracksmith.
Yeah, but I know. No. I'm forever indebted to Matt Taylor. He opened a lot of doors for me. And when I first launched, Matt called me 2020. Oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, like you can talk to other people, but like I want to do this. He's like, oh, good luck. Oh, you're gonna start a running company. Good luck. I launched my Kickstarter. It was super successful. Matt calls me. He says, no one's gonna know how hard it is to do what you just did. And ever since then, he's been super supportive when I see him. I think that the people at Tracksmith were told no more information for pioneers. Like, stop talking to pioneers, which is fair.
That's good. I mean, that's you're.
But he remembers. He's like, Sid, are you still using all offshore? Because when I started, I was using all offshore talent. Building all my stuff because I didn't have, and he would ask me. So super supportive over there. But I find it that I could, like, if there's something like this innovation award, I need to make a video. Now it's what's going on. You got to be a creator. You got to be a yapper. You got to do this on social. Like, how am I going to drive some energy towards me? It's talking about it in the way I'm talking about it. Who's not noticing innovation? These accounts that are just posting the same things. It's less about woe is me and more of like poking fun,
Well, yes, there's such a good place there's such a good opportunity to like reflect on what's missing or what's wrong or archaic in the space. So like, here's an example. Every time I go to TRE, I sit through these boring tech spec discussions and I'm like falling asleep from somebody explaining to me the difference of P-backs versus supercritical versus, the upper versus the downer. And I'm like, do I look entertained? Does anyone look entertained? So I went to this show yesterday and I came back and I wrote a Substack piece and I was like, is there a better way to do conversations with journalists and creators and media than just speaking at them and telling them facts that don't matter to them? Like, know your audience. And so I think it's about time to knock over the apple cart and start saying the stuff that is archaic and a dinosaur in the space. Like and maybe there are people that need the tech specs if you're a shoe buyer or like a technical shoe reviewer like a Kafuzi or Believe in the Run or something like that. But like that's not the 90%.
No,
and so to your point, like it is time to push back on the things that don't make sense anymore.
Yeah. And there's going to be an audience out there that is feeling the same way and they're going to support and drive it. And that's where we are in social media anyway. Like that's the stuff that's gaining traction, right? Like you have to have a point of view that's a little risque that people kind of like a hook, all that. I'm starting to learn all that now. It's like, I'm always a little behind on that stuff, but
the first 2
I always
seconds
find
matter
that
a ton.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I don't, I'm on the internet, I'm on social. If I'm banging my chest, it's because the work is done. And I'm like, but if I'm quiet, that means I'm working, like we're cooking something up.
He's in the kitchen.
I'm in the kitchen. It's hard for me to be out celebrating when I still have work to do. And so, but there are people who are really good at that. And sometimes my team's like, you need to be better at that. Like you need to be
Like the
milking
building in
everything you
public.
can. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a fine line because it's like you look on LinkedIn and it's a chest thumping contest and nobody's actually doing anything interesting.
Exactly. And I want to
And
be that guy.
yeah, and the brands that are doing something interesting are often not, thumping their chest because they're busy
Yeah,
working. I've tried to take a like middle of the road approach and like do the work and also talk about
yeah,
the work, because in the work that I'm doing, so much of the momentum is created from other people hearing about it and wanting to be a part of
yeah,
it and saying, "Hey, this would benefit me as well. I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that
yeah.
action."
My friend Carl Nard, photographer,
Great
videographer, also
photographer.
leads. It's amazing. Innovative, smart. He leads, I think, creative for Freaks, which is a sunscreen company. He was like, he said, you know, when you speak, you have something to say, like to
Yeah,
me about me. Like when you're on the internet, you have something to say, and you're not just talking to talk. And I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me.
love it. Sid, we have gone on quite a while here. We haven't even talked about the Boston Marathon. We haven't talked about 26 Point True.
True.
Is there anything else you wanna get off your chest before we wrap today?
I know, right? Boston, yeah, Boston's a great running city. Um, Running is in a interesting and continuing to grow space. Yeah, it's a lot going on, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I'm excited, and also it's a little one of those things where it's like I knew it was coming, and I'm happy that it came, and I'm happy that I'm here. But there's so much more work to be done to capture kind of like the still growing community of people who want to be runners, who want to see themselves in running. And so the work doesn't stop for us. And we're excited to potentially see trail, because I think that's the next frontier for people of color, is going out and exploring trail. And also, like when I was in Paris doing Paris Fashion Week, that was a whole different world to me. It's like going to business school and being like, maybe we can try our feet in some fashionable things. So staying curious but also trying to stay focused and maybe raise some money so I don't gotta every end of the month try to figure out how to get out of the month. If there's anything I do with this company is like cash flow management. Like how do I get out of this month? So
Cool. Appreciate your time and the chat today. And where can we find you if we want to go check out PYNRS and maybe order some? You have permission.
yeah. You have permission to look really good in product that really supports you. And turn, who wants to look the same as everybody else? Go to pynrs.com, PYNRS, separate from the Pioneers Run Crew, which is spelled the other way. I'm at Sid Bap, and I'll be here working really, really hard to make Jonathan a good investor and make sure he gets a return on his investment here. Yeah, man, just always hustling here in Boston.
Love it. See you in a few weeks and appreciate the time.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Long Run Labs. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's building something of their own. We'll be back next Tuesday with more stories at the intersection of endurance and entrepreneurship from the people shaping the outdoor industry in ways big and small. Until then, keep showing up, keep asking questions, and we'll see you out there. This show is produced by Dylan Delaney of Delaney Video LLC, with musical composition by Brian Walters of Single Track Sound, and managed overall by Emily Holland of Wild Poppy Creative.